Welcome back, everybody. Time for some more End of a New Beginning. Boy, you guys just can't seem to get enough of this game. So I'm happy to oblige and continue on. It is January 1879. You can see everything that came before if you click on the link in the description below. This is the situation in the United States of America. And I'm pretty content with where we are right now with things. Right now, we're just working on just kind of focusing on building our infrastructure, building up the nation, and hopefully eventually getting back to the place where we have some elections so we can kind of move forward and have somebody other than John Bell running things. And we are thinking about long-term plans to go to the Caribbean. But for this episode, several of you suggested, and I think it's a great idea, suggested that if we take on Brazil, which will not be easy, it's one of the top world powers, and you're fighting through the Amazon jungle, that if we take on Brazil, that opens up the door for us to be able to start establishing ourselves as a presence in Africa. And I believe some of you also said that there's some research that goes along with that. I think it's quinine. So we're going to do those two things and kind of focus on that. We're going to need more than just one army of 24 divisions to take on Brazil, though. I think this is going to require a good bit of our armed forces, and we're going to need to make sure that we can get as much supply going down here as possible. So I want to look at the supply area map mode for a minute here, because this is where it's going to really kind of need to be focused, is making sure that they build things up. So I'm going to build up the naval base so that we can get the supply throughput kind of higher, because we're going to need every supply we can to take on Brazil. Okay, so 3 maxed out naval bases. I'm hoping that's going to help with the supply issues. We're going to find out. We're going to start moving some forces down here, and we'll see what the supply situation looks like. Looking now at our aviation technology, we're about to research Zeppelin prototypes, but we're a little ahead on that. So you can see we've kind of maxed out aviation technology at the moment. Here's socioeconomics and humanities. We do have a couple of research abilities here at 1875. One of them is gunboat diplomacy. That's not something I'm really too excited about right now, but here we go. Colonial ambitions, and it says the scramble from Africa must have happened. A scramble for Africa, your nation must be in a position to be able to colonize, which apparently I don't think I am quite yet. So let's go ahead and see what's keeping us from being able to research those things. Oh, quinine, there you go. So we got to find where quinine is so we can do that. I found it. It is in the army tree, and where it is right down here next to early medicine. So in order to get quinine, we need to go down this route here. So we need terrain adaptability. And then once we've completed terrain adaptability, then we can go up here to climate training, and then we can do quinine. So it's going to take about a year to get all of those, which is fine. It's going to take me at least that long to deal with Brazil. So at this point, it seems like our naval base is up high enough to support the supply. What is not high enough is the infrastructure, which is far more expensive. So at this point, we're going to kind of switch our focus. As soon as we finish this particular naval base upgrade that we're working on, we're going to start working on infrastructure, but that's really expensive. A naval base costs $5,000, infrastructure is $25,000, so it costs 5 times as much for one level of infrastructure. But right now, that's what's going to slow the supplies down. You can see here is the infrastructure is what's in red. That's what's really killing me. So we'll do what we can with that, but we're only going to get it so high by the time our declaration of war is ready to go against the Brazilians. So we completed terrain adaptability, so we're working our way on quinine now. We've got that. Next thing on the list is climate training. So we'll actually have quinine done long before we're in a position to even start thinking about colonizing Africa. But let's go ahead and look at other options for upgrades here. What I'm looking for are things that are going to help with my supply issues, because I'm going to have some severe supply issues fighting this combat. For now, I don't really see any such options, so we'll just look for bonuses. Motorized and mechanized we don't have right now. So I've apparently been, I forgot I had been working on doing a world fair, And I'm not entirely sure what all it's going to do for us right now, or if that's even fleshed out. But our preparations are complete. Hold the World Fair. Let's see what that does. Very nice. Oh, it says I failed because not all the preparations are complete, I guess. Alright, so now we'll invite the participants. We'll do all that kind of stuff. Review the budget. We don't have enough to spare no expenses. We'll do medium budget, I guess. I guess that's everything I needed to do. I spent a lot of points on getting that ready. We should be pretty close now to Declaration of War. Oh, it'll be November 1879 before we're ready for that. Okay, let the fair begin. District of Columbia World Fair. It started today and will be ongoing for over a month. The fair was inaugurated by President John Bell in attendance of high-level state officials. Several nations from around the world attended the fair, which can be hailed as a mediocre success, as 100,000 visitors have already flocked to the District of Columbia. So I don't know what that means for me, what it does. This is saying that we've got leader elections minus that many days, because that's how long it's been since we've actually had the ability to do elections. Very nice. World Fair concluded. Alright, we're ready to research quinine, 115 days. That's going to open up the door to our African colonization plans, which I think are... I forget where they are. Over here in socioeconomics and humanities is where that is. We're a little far in that one, but it looks like that tech will enable colonization, so I think we're going to hold off on that. Neither of the things that block that from research are currently an issue. Yeah, so you see, even though it's green, it won't let me do it because it says your nation must be in a position to be able to colonize. And I'm guessing I'll have to finish quinine first before I can do that. Okay, here we go. And I think the other thing we'll probably need to be able to do in order for it to consider us in a position to colonize would be to be within naval range of being able to do that. So I would guess by the time we're done taking Brazil, and by the time we've completed quinine, I would hope those would help me to qualify for that. Brazil's only got about 25 divisions, but the supply issues, I think, are going to make this slow going for me. Let's go ahead and get another technology going here. Absorption, refrigeration. That'll work. All right, let's see how this goes. Oh, they've called Paraguay as our enemy in the American-Brazilian War. So Paraguay's down here. I don't expect them to be a whole big threat to me. Obviously, you can see supply issues are already keeping me from being able to move. If we get aggressive, though, we'll be able to move regardless of those supply issues. Of course, the absolutely devastating part about invading Brazil, of course, is that we're attacking from the northwest, which means we have to go right through the Amazon to get to the more populated areas of Brazil, which would be down in here. And you can see their capital all the way down here on the southern part, southeast part of the nation. But we are making progress. We're moving. We are defeating armies. Let's take a look at the numbers right now. 7,000 lost for me, 36,000 for him. Not bad considering the conditions, considering I'm going up against one of the top 10 world powers, and we're doing so with short supply and through the jungle. Meanwhile, we've passed January 1st of 1880, which means we can now advance to the machine era, which I believe is going to give us big bonuses in terms of research and production and things of that nature. I'm hoping that it's going to make a difference on our construction as well. I'm curious to see if that affects what it costs. It doesn't seem to. I'm hoping it'll be construction speed that'll improve, though. I'll have to look that up and see specifically what that does. Okay, so you can see here machine era. So before that, we were in the Victorian era. So there is how everything looks: factory output, research speed. Here, the research speed actually slows down now. So I'm not entirely sure what the benefit was of going to the machine era. Resource gain efficiency, factory output minus 15. Yeah, so it looks like some of that stuff improved, but other things actually got worse. There's quinine. So let's look now and see where that puts us with colonial settlements. It looks like... Can we research colonial ambitions yet? No, probably not, because we don't have access to colonies. Well, it's slow going. We're into April of 1880. We are still making progress, but the casualty situation is very different than it was. We've now lost 76,000 men to 60,000 for the Brazilians. Shouldn't be really unexpected as we slog our way through the jungle, but I would like to see that get better. So right here's a good example of the problems that I'm facing. We're required to have 60 supply to support the army where they are. We're getting 5.5. So we're getting less than 10% of the supplies that we need, and almost all of that is because of the local infrastructure. And it's just so expensive to build infrastructure that even if I were able to just start building it as I advance, I would never be able to build it fast enough to support the advance of my army. So let's take a look here. We're not going to be able to research this, I don't think, until Brazil's completely taken. And honestly, I probably don't need to focus anymore on anything related to colonial ambitions until we're in that position. Let's go ahead, while we're looking at army doctrines here, looks like we're already doing that. How about artillery? We need to upgrade artillery. We're pretty behind the technology on that. Here's the situation with the war. 98,000 lost now, 73,000 on his side. So by far the bloodiest conflict since the Civil War. So I'm hoping as I gain access to more of these seaports, that's going to help support more of the attacks. So I'm sending a division to go grab these two undefended territories here. You can see it's kind of slowing down the amount required for each area. And hopefully improving the amount. So right there we're only at about a third of what is needed. Here we're still at about 1/8 or so, but we've at least relieved a little bit of the pressure in some of those areas. That's what the situation looks like overall. So we're almost through the Amazon jungle at least, and then we'll start marching south, and I'm hoping that'll go a little faster. 111,000 lost, 85,000 casualties inflicted, which is easily half of what he had available. All right, the war's been going for a year now. We are making progress, and actually, now that I took this territory up here and opened up another seaport for supply, it seems like our armies are moving a little better. You can see we're not having the supply issues that we had before. So that's helpful. I mean, it's not perfect. Oh boy, here we go. The scramble for Africa. Winds of change rush over Europe, and eyes now turn to Africa. Where in the past much of the dark continent was inaccessible, now with the widespread use of railways and vaccinations comes the attentions of the vying great powers. The same powers whom now lust after rich resources and expansive lands to be found within Africa. Now, this is not a personal reflection on the morality of these nations doing it. It's just the reality of what happened at this time and place. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to finish off Brazil, and then we will have access to these ports that will allow us to start colonizing Western Africa. All right, we're about to go into April of 1881. And you can see the situation. I have a feeling by the end of 1881 we should have a pretty good handle on things. We're trying once again to move up into this territory to open up another seaport, which I've just done. Every chance I have to do that, I think, alleviates the supply issue just a little bit. 134,000 casualties, 123 on the Brazilian side, still a long way to go. All of this fighting, almost 2 years of fighting, haven't even gotten us to the point where we are getting near to his big cities, his centers of population. Those are places like right here Obviously down here, Rio, Sao Paulo. These are kind of the areas we need to get to. We are starting to get close. We're into August now of 1881, and we are on the doorstep of taking Brazil. We've pushed them all the way to the coast now. Most of our supply issues are no longer a concern. There's a few places where there's still some concern with supply. Let's take a look and see where the movement's happening. See, this army here is not moving. I want to go up and kind of move along the coast here with them if I can. 136,000 lost, so a lot of those happened early on. Nothing recent, and now we're inflicting more casualties on them. We're finally engaging the army of Paraguay for the first time as we're getting close to their nation. I wonder if we could just go in and take them while we're at it. I would imagine we probably could. I'm going to redraw the lines now that we're at the place that we are. So now that we're on the other side of the Amazon jungle and we've taken enough seaports, you can see a lot more of my divisions are able to move and participate in the attack instead of just a few here and there, which is largely what I've had to do this with. So now we're taking territory much quicker, and I think it's probably just a couple more months and we'll have this thing wrapped up. It's been a 2-year war, and I'm not the least bit surprised by that, even though I heavily outnumbered him. And I want to take a look now at the ledger. Obviously, Brazil's not going to be... Oh, they're still ranked 8th, despite everything. Just their power projection has gone down as mine has gone up. You can see the number of factories. Germany is just going nuts with the factories. Their army's almost double mine now. So they have just been growing and growing and growing. Just one more reason why I want to get them on my side rather than be belligerent with them, because they are super powerful. All right, November 1881. We've got some research to do here. I'm trying to get caught up on some of my naval technology research. Got a long way to go there. But here's the situation as it lies now. We are closing in on Rio and Sao Paulo. We're also moving into Asuncion, which is the capital of Paraguay. I think this is all going to happen pretty fast. It's just a matter of how quickly my divisions can get down there. You can see they're all headed in this direction. It's happening pretty fast now, though. 137,000 lost. We've inflicted 180,000 casualties now. All right, so we're going to go ahead and watch this play out the rest of the way. As you can see, we're moving quickly now to take what's left of his territory. Brazil's still got quite a few of its victory points left, but those two right there might be enough for all of it, although we've got this one down here, Rio Grande do Sul, that we may need to take as well. But it's really just a matter of how quickly we can get there. He's going to be reaching 200,000 casualties pretty soon. Come on, boys. I'm kind of anxious for them to take Rio, so I'm just going to tell them to get there. Same thing with Sao Paulo. I just want to see what taking those two cities does for this. All right, new year, 1882. Going to be 2.5 years to have conquered Brazil altogether. We got our political stability back up to 3 now. Sao Paulo is ours. Yeah, Rio might be enough to do this. What are we waiting on, guys? There we go. Yep. We're there. Okay. So we're going to take all of Paraguay and Brazil. Now, we're not going to be able to do it all quite on this turn, apparently. So we'll have to undo some of these states just until we get to where we can pass on one turn. There, now we can take all their states. All right. So the question now is, now that we've taken Brazil, and with it large chunks of South America, will we have access to colonization? So our movement has allowed the Netherlands to move into the top 8 and become a great power, now that Brazil is no longer a part of things. You can see where the top powers are now. I've got 120 factories, so taking Brazil actually really improved things for me in terms of my factories, closed that gap between me and Germany a little bit. But you can see just how dominant Germany is in Europe right now. So here's the research slot. Now let's take a look and see if this allows us. Now we are still not in a position to be able to colonize according to the rules here. So I've got to figure out what I need to do in order to be able to unlock that. In fact, what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap it up right there. That's a short episode, but the reason I'm going to wrap it up right here is I need some feedback. Some of you guys know what's going on really well with this. You were the ones that suggested to me I needed quinine in order to be able to colonize. So I'm wondering, what else am I missing? Why is it that I can't colonize now that I've got access from here to there? Is there something else I need to research? Is it something with my Navy? Do I need to have naval superiority between here and there? I can see that the UK has started to colonize right here on the coast in Sierra Leone. So I want to know what I need to do before the other nations start to gobble up too much of this territory. So use that comment section below if you know. Otherwise, just let me know your thoughts about where we go from here now that it's 1882. I mostly just want to kind of have my sphere of influence be over here and then deal with colonization and then kind of prepare to be able to intervene when there is a major world war that breaks out. But drop a like if you would, and we will see you again soon with another episode. Thanks for watching.